Good evening, good afternoon, good wherever you are. My name is Malicious. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're playing Lotro. I'd made a video previously about the Second Age history and the MMO that is coming out that is being made by Amazon. I'm going to compare now and play Lotro today. This game came out in 2007, just to see how things are and how the game is and whether it's even worth playing in the year of 2021. I know a lot of people are waiting for MMOs, especially Elion and such, so I just wanted to do the same thing as well. I am also being bored out of my mind a lot, so I'm going into Lotro today to see what's going on. Let's begin here. By the way, there will be an analysis at the end of the video about classes, races, and whether it's worth playing the game, the money, the free-to-play, the different premium options between VIP, premium, pay-to-win, etc. All of those things will be involved in the end of the video, or in the end of the next video if there's a part 2, if somebody does want a part 2. As for now, as you can see here, there's a bunch of classes. So if I pick man, for example, male, female, nothing is gender locked as far as I can tell, but some of them are race locked. For example, Bjornings are the only ones that can be Bjornings. These coins here are basically, you unlock these with Lotro points or whatever the currency is of the game. I am probably gonna go in as an elf and be a hunter just cause I'm like that. Well, character creation time, I guess. I'll see you guys in about a year. Okay, so let me talk about the origins here real quickly. The world of Middle-earth, the world of Lord of the Rings, the world of Tolkien is a vast and wide place, and it's a beautiful place. There's so much lore, and as far as I know, this is the most lore-accurate Lord of the Rings game available. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some inconsistencies, some things, but it follows the writings as far as I know. We're gonna go to Mirkwood, I suppose. Let's start in Mirkwood. So while we load, something to bear in mind here is that you can actually be able to play this game that has many expansions completely free to play. Now, it's going to be a grindy process,
under the care of your master,
but you can find a lot of things free to
in
play.
the midst of a brutal attack by greedy dwarves of the Dowerhand family. Their king, Skorgrim, thirsts for
Camera
power
movement. Yep,
with an
we got this.
unnatural lust, and you are in the eye of the
WASD.
You cannot tarry here any longer.
Okay, so I don't have an earthly idea what I'm doing right now. It's been a very long time since I've played this game. Okay, talk to Elrond. Let's proceed with this.
You are better armed.
We're gonna try and get as much out of this in a short amount of time as possible. See, this is my only concern about the game, which is the combat. The combat in this game is actually, it hasn't aged well, you know? The combat is probably the biggest thing for a lot of people. But the game, as far as I know, still boasts a large community. It still has a non-toxic community as well. So much lore, so much things to do and explore. We're talking hundreds of hours of content. Like, you could play this game today and you would still be playing it for a very, very long time. And the game is not over. I mean, the game is old in comparison now, but it's not over. There's still so much coming as far as I know. There's another expansion. There's about 8 of them. Well, I think you can buy 8 DLCs. There's always more stuff. There is not really a lot of pay to win at all. In fact, I don't think there's any real big concerns of pay to win. There's more. Where did that guy go? How did I lose him? Well, anyway, there's not really a lot of pay to win or anything. As far as I know, there's a lot of pay to convenience and monthly stuff, but it's everybody I've spoken to that plays the game and has played the game is always saying it's worth it. The free-to-play model is actually quite fair considering the amount of content. This is a very dramatic scene and I'm just sitting here talking about pay to win, but let's see. Experience and leveling up. Okay, so I'm supposed to... Oh, this isn't too bad. I mean, it's definitely not super clunky movement. Combat is, but movement's alright. You know, in comparison to games where it's a very blocky mess.
Megawannen.
I've broken through. Also, by the time we get to the end of this video, let me know if you actually want to watch me continue playing through Lotro or things like that. I mean, I can do the entire free-to-play part, and then I can also just sit there and farm if I really wanted to. Basically, you have to play this game like a full-time job if you want to be free-to-play and earn enough credits within the game to buy the expansions, basically, essentially for free. Just by your own, you know, deeds that you do within the game. And just destroyed that thing. Ah, Elrond, of course. Why wouldn't you be that powerful? So it's a very dramatic beginning of the game.
Ithilien is ruined now.
The old refuge of Ithilien lies abandoned, a ruined testament to the greed of Skorgrim Dourhand. 600 years after its fall, dwarves inhabit the ancient halls in the mountains, and Elrond of Rivendell, sensing a threat, has sent his sons Elrohir and Eladan, along with a company of elves to investigate.
You see this? This is cool. In my opinion, this is cool. Having like that kind of like cutscene in a loading screen kind of tells you what's happening, introduces you to a bit of the lore, lets you know about some things. That's pretty cool.
Come to offer my service to this party of elves.
I didn't read that. That might be a problem. Okay, so the map looks a bit weird, but finding a fellowship is finding a party. You can manage quests in your quest log, adding and removing quests from the tracker. You can also, not a problem. You see, there's already people here. So the interesting thing about Lotro is it's one of those old MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, you know, that are always up there. They have a population, they have a community. It's just they're never consistently talked about. And it's not because the game is bad, it's just because it attracts a certain kinds of people. So if you ever were wondering and seemed if this was your kind of game, then hopefully this video answers some of those questions. Or at least eases your mind into the game, knowing that the content is still there, there is still stuff to do, there are still people. It's a great place. It's a good place to be. It gives you directions. Northeast, along the road from where Eladan stands. There's definitely a charm to this game. Just like the same thing that RuneScape has its own charm. There's a cuteness to everything. So far the soundtrack is really nice too. If there is such a thing as an auto path. Oh! Haven't found it yet. Also, that's me falling. Ah, falling from heights gives me a kind of debuff, I think. Like a crippling thing.
What can I do for you?
For those of you directionally challenged, this may be a challenge in itself. It's quite calm at the moment. But it seems like there is an icon on the map once a quest objective has been found. Which I guess brings back some of that old ass immersion where you have to actually run around and find what you needed to do. And in we go. See, since we're noobs, we're just gonna take everything. We do not say no to loot where I come from. It seems we're all looking for the same objective here. Also, as a free-to-play player, it's worth mentioning that you cannot type in the chat, I believe, until you're about level 20, which I suppose isn't too bad, and it's mostly done to stop spammers, since that is still a thing, gold spamming and all of that. Now, sometimes I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. Okay. Lord of the Rings Online I've seen before in many different streams or YouTube videos or just in general the game being played. I've never seen it as a force that takes over the MMORPG world like games like World of Warcraft or Black Desert Online that have actually made huge impacts. But it does have a tight-knit, strong community with a lot of good non-toxic players. It does have its rating setups. It does have its hardcore, people. It does have its levels of PvP. But the game is definitely a big, big adventure. The whole game feels like an adventure. You need to find out what to do, who to do things with, what kind of legendary items you get, where you need to go, which, boss are you killing now? What from Middle Earth are you fighting a Balrog? Like, it's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of lore, and it's a lot of fun. This game definitely has its place in the MMO world, and it's a good place for it. I don't see this game dying anytime soon. I see this game, existing for many years to come, even when the updated Amazon version comes out, even though the Amazon version is not set in the same time period. Remember, the Amazon version is set in the Second Age. As you can see, we're level 4. We're still intro questing. As I'm playing this game, I think to myself, the music is pretty. The game seems a little pretty. There's a charm to it. There's a beauty to it. But would I see myself playing this on a regular basis? Not competitively, I'll tell you that much. I'd play it for the lore, for the community, for the fun. But I wouldn't play it as in to be a competitive raider or a competitive PvPer. I just don't think it's that kind of game. Especially since the combat is not great in comparison to many other MMOs on the market today. But you see, this atmosphere is good. It's definitely a lore-heavy game. It's a quest-heavy game. It's a game where you adventure, but it gives you options. Options to do anything you really kind of want to. Just within the restrictions of the world. You cannot play a monster forever. Well, I mean, you can. It's just you can't be an orc and do the story and the campaigns and all of that. You play an orc, you play the monster quests, you do the monster things, and it's much smaller. Game is definitely designed for the free peoples of Middle Earth.
Down yonder is Gormer, the steward appointed by Thorin before he left.
There's so many classes in the game too, and just ways to play. And even though the combat looks clunky and stiff and a bit shitty, a bit boring, it's actually not horrible all the time. And by that I mean there is a complexity to certain things. If you're okay with tap target games and just the general themes of like doing rotations and pressing certain buttons, there are classes with some serious complexity in this game. In fact, I think one of the classes, I think it's Warden, is boasted to have one of the highest complexity in, you know, a lot of MMOs. But what that truly means, I can't exactly tell you, because I am not able to play the class yet. I can't give you an in-depth review and compare it to other games. But if you guys are interested and, you know, actually want to see more Lotro content, let me know and I will try my best to actually go through the game. If that means doing every single quest for our viewers, I got you. You know? I got time to kill. I got stuff to do. I'm just that kind of weird person. Let's take a look at this character panel here. I have a button I pressed. You see all these? Primary weapon, secondary weapon, my ranged weapon. I am indeed a hunter, so I'm mostly going to be using these. Got all these stats, morale, which is something I don't know. The amount of damage you can take before being defeated. Okay, so my health. And power. Power is the energy required to use your skills. Armor is just armor. Might, agility, etc, etc. Well, that's pretty interesting, I would say. Parry and evasion, critical, and physical mastery. So, yeah, I mean, just like games like World of Warcraft and other MMOs of the olden era, stats are important, and so are complexities and classes. Right, classes, complexity, the way things work are really good and interesting, especially in games like this, and that's the way it should be in my personal opinion. If your combat system sucks, then you need depth in your combat. So if the combat system is not flashy, and it's not interesting, and it's not super amazing, and it's just tap target, 1, 2, 3 rotation, there needs to be a complexity to it. And I think Lotro definitely has that complexity to it in some of the classes. And it does have an appeal in some of the classes. For example, Beornings literally just turn into bears. And they beat stuff up. But you're not a bear the entire time, obviously. But that is a cool concept. And the cool concept goes hand in hand with a cool design to make something that, you know, make something out of nothing, I guess. But it's not really nothing. There is still a lot to do. It's always nice to have that fresh feeling, no matter what the MMO is, of just not knowing anything and not knowing what to do. And just playing in general. See? This quest. Okay, so this is important. You see this quest that gives me Lotro points. 10 of them, which isn't a lot. But this is literally what you need to buy expansions, to buy items, to buy riding skill, to buy outfits in the game. So, if you wanted to, as a free-to-play player, you can make maybe one purchase if you really wanted to. Get a bunch of these Lotro points. And then eventually, once you've done so much content for literally for free, you can buy VIP status if you want to. And VIP, I believe, still gives you 500 of these Lotro points a month. It costs about, I think, $8 to $10 in the US. Not sure how much it costs for me because I haven't checked on it. But it gives you 500 of those a month. So you're paying, let's say you pay $10. You're essentially paying $5 because you're getting $5 back in free money that you can use for expansions. So that's another route you could go down. You can just sub and buy expansions bit at a time, buy quests, buy stuff, and VIP unlocks a large part of the game. But yeah. So let's talk about Lotro in 2021 and genuinely see if it's worth it. If the game you're looking for is a long-term MMORPG with the most updated graphics, general, mechanically challenging combat, and new systems that are revolutionary, the short answer is no. However, if you're a Tolkien fan, someone that likes an adventure, or someone that generally doesn't mind the old systems of MMORPGs, then the answer is a strong yes. Let me explain by first saying that the graphics are not the best for sure, but there is a charm and beauty to the game regardless. Sometimes you are caught off guard by how simple yet beautiful something looks. However, in other places your immersion is destroyed by the lackluster textures. If we talk about the combat, it isn't something I genuinely enjoy. It's not mechanically challenging, it's a little outdated, not flashy at all. However, there are systems that keep it interesting the more you learn. So if you remember, old MMORPGs relied on certain mechanics that on paper were cool and difficult to pull off. However, in reality, those are things that haven't aged well. You're not about to do a sick 300 hit combo that amps your damage and looks flashy, but you are rewarded for pressing the right buttons, getting the right combinations, and general things like that. There is still a complexity to the combat system at the cost of flashiness and mechanical skill. Think of it as a way to challenge the mind, but not the reflexes. And furthermore, with having the ability to pick skill trees that either make your character a single target damage dealer, a mobile hunter, a tank, a stationary ranger, there's lots of options for you to play the game as your ideal class fantasy. For example, as I said, the blue hunter tree lets you move while shooting a lot more at the cost of range, but it gives you a fast kiting playstyle. The red tree is more single target, stationary, big damage. The yellow tree is a trap playstyle. These extend to your other classes too. You can be an AoE champion, or a tank champion, or a single target champion. Possibilities and flavors are there for sure. You also get new skills based on those trees. The system isn't as linear as most people expect. Now, one of the main things people ask about Lotro is the content or the pricing. First, let's hit up the pricing. There's about 8 expansions. They cost about £100 in UK currency to get pretty much all of them, and that's without a sale, by the way. So let me tell you a story. Not long ago, they sold every expansion minus I believe 3 of them for $1 each. There's always sales, so you look out for those if you really want to get the most bang for your buck. And it makes the entire game, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, cost barely a thing if you can get a few sales, some VIP here and there. So if you want to keep playing, keep an eye out for those. There's account types as well, free to play, premium as well, meaning you purchased at least one thing for real money, and VIP, which is subscription based. There's also founder and lifetime accounts, but we don't mention those because they're unavailable anymore. The best deal, honestly, is VIP currently. Even if you get it for just a month, the first couple boosts you get from it actually do help you. You unlock a lot. You get a ton of content, monthly money, by the way, stuff to do, and generally it's a great system. However, the free-to-play model isn't actually horrific. The downsides of being free-to-play, at least the big ones, you are limited to 2 gold at a time. 5 gold for premium and unlimited for VIP. However, if you want to just do quests and go on an adventure, kill the Balrog, and just enjoy the world, you can grind like a madman. You can really grind if you wanted to. There is an option for that. To unlock these deeds and do those deeds for Lotro points, and that's basically IRL currency. You don't get a lot, but if you keep doing a bunch of them, it'll mount up eventually. The world is huge, by the way. So when I say there's a lot of content, I mean there's a lot more content than many MMORPGs that are newer and some older. If you're worried about the differences, by the way, I've got a table from the wiki that should be seen on screen right now that tells you the differences and all the benefits that you get. Now, I speak as someone who's always been fascinated with Tolkien's works, and I say this genuinely. I am not a Lotro content creator. I never was hugely into the game because I often love action, big PvP battles, flashiness, mechanical skill, and other things in my chosen MMORPGs. However, Lotro has really taken me back to a time where I could just adventure the world, do quests, take things slow, have a peaceful, fun, and calming time, whilst just enjoying the world rather than trying to find the shortcuts to the endgame. And I've got to say, that's a good feeling. The community of the game is also so wholesome, non-toxic, and highly helpful, and accepting of new players and old. I see this game surviving many years to come, even though it's quite outdated. I do not, however, see it thriving like other games of similar age, World of Warcraft being the one that comes to mind. I sometimes wonder what LOTRO would look like if the roles were reversed, if LOTRO was more updated, mainstream, and shooting out expansions. Regardless, the content is there, the game is fun if you allow it to be, and it doesn't really take any forcing to play and enjoy. Would I play this consistently personally? I'm actually not sure. I've been playing the game actually off of recordings quite a bit. Even made a champion to test out melee combat and stuff. Took a look at the professions, the map, the world. The game gives you a little helping hand at the start, by the way, after the intro, giving you buffs, a 24-hour horse that you can use, a few other goodies to help you level. But yeah, that's LOTRO in 2021, folks. An old but fun game that you can play if you want. Hundreds upon hundreds of hours of free content, let alone the stuff you can pay for to unlock. So yeah, give it a try. Most of you will be pleasantly surprised. But a word of advice, do not go into it expecting a hardcore PvP and PvE game, or a huge Twitch, YouTube community, or some of those Korean MMORPG graphics or outfits. Come into it with a fresh mind, open eyes, and enjoy it as an older game that didn't age terribly, minus the combat, of course. The soundtrack, the stories, the immersion, the quests, the dialogue, a large chunk of the game is hugely enjoyable and definitely deserves attention. Even the interaction with other players just feels, it gives off this sense of magic, and maybe that's because I'm a Tolkien fan, but I don't think that's the case, specifically because I looked at it from different angles. LOTRO will never be the biggest out there, but it will always have a loyal fan base that may grow or not over time, and it will have its place in the MMORPG world. If I had to give it a rating just off of what I've played, including higher level content, looking at other content creators, watching them play, looking at some other things, actually seeing the raids and experiencing some of them on other accounts, I would have to say that this game is probably a 6 verging on a 7 out of 10. And that's kind of something considering how old it is and how under the radar it is for a lot of people, because people know that LOTRO exists. They just don't see any LOTRO ads. LOTRO always appeals to its loyal fan base, always tries to hit up the Tolkien fans, and if you are a Tolkien fan, this is probably going to be a game you enjoy, especially since it's quite lore accurate. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you a LOTRO player? Did I miss anything? Leave your comments down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you enjoyed the content. Suggestions are always welcome. What would you like to see me play next? I've played Aika recently. I've played LOTRO again. I'm happy to make any videos almost that you guys are interested in. My links will be to other social media will be in the description box down below. So my Twitch, Twitter, stuff like that. But yeah, as always, I've been Malicious, and this has been a pleasure.